And South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham saying although al-Qaeda leader al-Zawahiri might be gone, the threat from al-Qaeda in Afghanistan is not over. The senator took to Twitter to tweet, quote, to the Biden administration, congratulations on this operation, but your overall strategy of abandoning Afghanistan is going to come back to haunt America because Afghanistan is again going to be a safe haven for radical Islam. Batten down the hatches, go on the offensive. Now, this comes after President Biden last night addressed the nation. He celebrated the strike against al-Zawahiri and said the U.S. will, quote, never again allow Afghanistan to become a terrorist safe haven because he's gone. Earlier today, I spoke with Texas Senator John Cornyn. Senator Cornyn, thank you very much for joining me, sir.
Good to be with you, Greta. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, sir. Sir, it's great news that al-Zawahiri has now been eliminated, but what we left behind in Afghanistan may be quite troubling. The Taliban has returned and in full force, and there's always the risk we create a vacuum in al-Qaeda. What do you know is going on in Afghanistan, sir?
Well, we know there was a complete vacuum left behind when Joe Biden ordered the precipitous withdrawal of all of our troops without even telling our NATO allies, who were quickly to leave, left shortly thereafter. The Taliban's a terrorist organization. We know they harbored Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda, which ultimately left them with the means to train and export their terrorist attacks against the American people on 9/11. And so they are, like I said, terrorists. And now to find out that Zawahiri, who was Osama bin Laden's second in command, of course, was taken out by a CIA drone. That's been 21 years in the making, and it's clear the Taliban is still harboring a terrorist like Zawahiri, perhaps through the Haqqani network, which I guess is also part of that network, but which is also a criminal organization as well. So nothing good coming out of Afghanistan these days.
All right, we've had loss of life. We've had people who've been injured. We've spent I don't know how many trillions of dollars, and now we've got the situation we're in now. Are we back to square one? Did we get anything out of the last 20-some years?
Well, the one thing we did get is no additional terrorist attacks in the United States, at least not on the scale of 9/11. So I'll credit our policy for that. But this one strike against Zawahiri, of course, the Biden administration is heralding this as an over-the-horizon terrorist strike. But there's no question, this has been confirmed publicly by the CIA and others, that our ability to know what's going on in Afghanistan is dramatically diminished. And so there's going to be additional problems germinating from our exit there, and the fact that we still left the same people behind that were there in the first place that harbored al-Qaeda.
All right, you mentioned the Biden administration. I know you support that Speaker Pelosi has touched down Taiwan. She's in Taiwan, showing that she supports the democracy there. But before she left, there was a very public disagreement with the White House, with the president. Is it good for the world to watch when our president and the Speaker of the House are arguing over something like that? Is that good for our democracy? Is a bad picture we're painting for the world? How do you look at that?
Well, you would have thought they would have reconciled their differences beforehand rather than to do so publicly. But kudos to Speaker Pelosi for going. I was there about 6 months ago with Senator Tuberville, Senator Lee, and Senator Crapo, and two of our House colleagues, Tony Gonzalez and Jake Ellzey. We got a few nasty comments out of the Chinese Communist Party at the time, but obviously Speaker Pelosi is the highest profile American to currently in office to have gone in a while. I know Vice President Pence was there after he left the White House. But we need to stand by our responsibilities in the Taiwan Relations Act of 1978 and continue to provide the Taiwan government their ability to defend themselves against a potential invasion by the Communist Party of China.
All right, to use a phrase that you might be familiar with from Texas, the threats that China has made and continues to make about her trip, is it all hat and no cattle? I think that's the expression.
Got it. Yeah, that's right. It is all just threats. And of course, they rely on intimidation in the effort they use to try to intimidate the free passage of freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. Of course, Japan and the Philippines and Taiwan are all very concerned, as is India, about the aggressiveness of President Xi and his regime. But we can't let them intimidate us. We can't let democracies kowtow to the Chinese Communist Party. We need to work even more closely together to try to deter them from doing what Putin did in Ukraine, but this time in Asia.
All right, let me talk about domestic issue, the reconciliation bill. Senator Manchin has worked out a deal. He's on board. Senator Sinema uncertain right now, but they have to have her. I don't know if any Republicans are going to cross over. Is this bill, in your mind, going to get passed?
I think that the jury's out. I'm doing everything I can to discourage anybody who's even thinking about voting for it. Of course, Joe Manchin did a magnificent, or I should say Olympic-worthy flip-flop from his previous position in opposition to this. He said he was worried about inflation, would wait to see the July and August numbers. The Penn-Wharton study that was done of this proposal said it will do nothing to reduce inflation, even though Senator Schumer and Senator Manchin call it the Inflation Reduction Act. It's all smoke and mirrors at this point. Two things we know it will do is raise taxes on people making this less, as little as $10,000, and it will make inflation worse. And it will benefit wealthy consumers by having low-income taxpayers subsidize their electric vehicle purchases with a $7,500 tax credit. This is income redistribution, to be sure, and it won't do anything to help inflation. It will make it worse.
All right, one last question. He has been very adamant about his position all the way along. We've all been watching him since he and Senator Sinema were the sort of the key votes whether this agenda of President Biden's would get passed or not. What do you think was why did he change his mind? What was it? What did he get?
Well, it looked to me like he got some promise to build a pipeline in West Virginia. Unfortunately, the Keystone XL pipeline was nixed the first day that President Biden, at the first time he spoke about it when he took office. We need to build other energy infrastructure around the country, and not just in West Virginia. But that seems to be the quid pro quo. I don't think we know all of what was promised to Joe Manchin, but we do know he made a huge 180-degree turn when he changed his mind publicly. Now all eyes are on Senator Sinema, who I know to be a very smart, very much a person who does her homework. And so far, she's been quiet about whether she would support this tax and spending spree bill.
All right, well, right now she seems to have a lot of power. As the last one, we're waiting to hear what she has to say. Senator Cornyn, thank you very much for joining me, sir.
Thanks, Greta. Good to see you.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. With inflation at its highest level in 40 years and interest rates skyrocketing, your retirement plans are in danger. Well, our friends at American Hartford Gold can help show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Yeah. If you call them right now, they have a special offer. They will give you a free gold coin on your first qualifying order. So don't wait. Call now. Here's the number, 866-935-4309. That's 866-935-4309, or text Newsmax to 65532. That's Newsmax to 65532. Thank you.